This is Inside Badger Football with head coach Trey Shucker. Inside Badger Football is brought to you by the Arkadelphia Alliance and Chamber of Commerce, ATO Automotive, Batson Signs, Bell Wealth Services, Blakelytown, Chad Kesterson Shelter Insurance, Chicken Express, Citizens Bank, Domino's, Eccles, Thompson and Kneebone CPA, Doctors Gary and Rob Rucker, Knight Insurance Professionals, L&J Auto Sales, Ludwig's Bakery, Park Hill Baptist Church, Patterson Federal Credit Union, Print Mania, Providence Veterinary Care, Roger Wingfield State Farm, Scott Bird DDS, The Sexton Firm, South Central Connect, Southern Bancorp, Southwest Auto Collection, Taylor King Law, Tea Time Sims, Trinity Temple Assembly of God, Turner, Rogers, Manning and Plyler CPA, Twin Rivers Health and Rehabilitation, and Welch Funeral Home. The host of Inside Badger Football is Cooper Darr.
And welcome back to Inside Badger Football with the head coach of the Arkadelphia Badgers, Trey Shucker. How are you today, Coach?
I'm doing wonderful, 2-0, feeling good, so it's good to be here and talk about it a little bit.
Yes, sir. Well, let's go ahead and talk about it. I mean, it was a great preseason, obviously. You've started 2-0 on the season. Let's just kind of take a step back a little bit. Let's talk about the preseason coming into your first game against Camden-Fairview. We already know that y'all won. It was a huge victory. But talk about what led going into that Camden-Fairview game.
Yeah, we've got an experienced group coming back on defense, and we've got some really skilled players on offense, very experienced. And so we feel like we've been able to progress a little bit quicker than we've been able to in the past, just based off of our skill positions and up front. We're bigger up front on offense than what we've been in the past, so we feel really good about just being able to handle, Camden. Camden's a big physical team. They're fast. They're very skilled. We liked the matchup going into that game, and so I feel like with what we've been able to bring back, our size, our speed, the matchup has been a little bit better from our standpoint from what it's been in the past couple of years.
Yes, sir. Well, I mean, a lot of football coming into the season, winning that first game, but isn't it nice just to be back in football season? I mean, It's a new table, it's a new desk, it's a new atmosphere here. Won a state championship last year, obviously, but that's the past now. Now looking to new beginnings, but starting 2-0 has been a great beginning with that. These first two games really have been the definition of all three phases, though. Offense, defense, special teams, every single one of them. Defense came up big against Camden-Fairview. The offense put up points on the board in the second half versus Hot Springs. Special teams really has been special in both games.
It really has, and I think the difference in both games has been the special teams. When against Camden, we had a big kickoff return for a touchdown to take lead back, and then against Hot Springs, starting off the game with a kickoff return for a touchdown. And then the first punt return we take back for a touchdown. So we started the game against Hot Springs 14-0 before the offense had even touched the field, and that was a big difference in the game as well, especially by only winning by 4 points. So special teams has been huge against Camden. Our punt team, we were struggling on offense throughout the bigger part of the game. The punt unit, Bryce Meekins, our punter, did a really good job of creating field position for our defense. Really, with his punts, flipping the field, pinning Camden's offense deep in their own territory was huge in the game. And so I think special teams has been one of the biggest things about why we're 2-0 right now.
That's right. I want to kind of emphasize what you are saying about all three phases. I want to go ahead and let's watch these highlights from these past 2 weeks. We're going to start off with Camden-Fairview. It's a little bit different this year. We see the broadcast clips behind us as we talk, and hopefully the score will be on the screen so we can help see where the game is. So this is Camden-Fairview, Coach.
Yep.
That first score, talk about how just important that was to start off the season with a score.
It was. On that first drive, I thought our offensive line, our run game was one of the strongest points of that drive. We were able to get some big explosive runs and ultimately finish with a touchdown.
Yes, sir. Well, let's talk about your offensive line first. I want to go there. Obviously, you had some guys graduate.
Yeah.
You got some guys coming back. Let's just talk about the depth since this is the first show. We're kind of getting used to our newer guys that are on the field, but also the guys that have been there since last year. Let's talk about your offense.
Yeah, so offensive line, we've got Grant Rollins at left guard. He's a 3-year starter for us. He's our biggest and strongest offensive lineman, 300 pounds. Trace Young's our center, 2-year starter for us. Our center last year, phenomenal job. Does a great job on all of his blocks and makes sure that we're all doing the right thing. And then Ashton Hayes on our right guard is new. He's a junior, but he's a big, strong kid, a lot bigger than he was last year. He's sitting at about 280. And then our left tackle is Derek Turner, senior, was a starter last year at right guard, and we moved him to tackle. And then our right tackle is Dominic Brumfield. Again, he's a junior, really, really big. He's like 6'3", probably 280 pounds, and which is just bigger than what we've been in the past. So when we play these teams that's got a big front line, and the past two teams have, we feel like we're able to handle it a little bit better.
Coach, your quarterback, Bryson McCoy, obviously All-State as a 10th grader coming into this junior season, and he really has some more time to get underneath his belt with some experience. But talk about how important he is to this offense.
He's huge, especially with the experience that he's got coming off of last year. Without that experience, without his confidence, I feel like we wouldn't be 2-0 also. Our offense has struggled at times. We've been playing some really good defense, some talented defensive line, some very skilled DBs and linebackers. And so, our offense hasn't really just clicked like it, we're typically used to seeing right now. But without his experience and poise, I feel like we would be in a worse spot. The situations we're going against right now is, we've played two defensive lines that are very, very heavy. And, I already talked about how we're bigger, but they're even bigger than we are still. Like Hot Springs, I believe both of those defensive tackles were 330 plus. Camden had a 330 defensive lineman. And the other one was about 300. So we're going against some defensive lines that are very impressive. I think we're battle tested through it. And then on the back end, we've got some very talented receivers, but we're going against defenses that can match us step for step. That's what we've been seeing. The biggest thing that we've got to do on offense right now is execute, and that's what it comes down to. The past 2 weeks has been pretty much man-to-man. Teams are trying to match our athleticism, and what it comes down to is you've got to win your one-on-one matchup. We put some routes together to be able to try to get people to get open, to create some rub routes and things that cross and use speed. But what it comes down to is the execution, and I think as the season progresses, we're going to see more and more of that.
Coach, I want to talk about your defense. Since we're watching them right here on the highlights right here, your defensive line has been something that I don't even know how to put into words. They've had more QB hurries, they've had more sacks, they've had more pressures, and even your linebackers. The entire defense has really been a huge anchor in these first two games. Just talk about how amazing your defense has been.
Well, the two defensive ends that we have are very blessed to have with Skylar McClure and Xavier Williams. Very tall, long, and athletic defensive ends. Very good pass rush. Very good ball get off. They're just so technical and skilled and athletic that it's really difficult for people to pass set to them. So they're getting in the backfield, they're working their moves, and they're able to get pressure on the quarterback.
Especially with how fast Xavier is. I mean, I think I saw he runs like a 4.4.
No, he's like a 4.6 guy.
Okay, 4.6,
but still at defensive end, that's a lot to take on.
Oh my goodness! I mean, I played left tackle in high school, and if I was going against a 4.6 defensive end, I would have a struggle tonight.
Very tough. Yep.
All right, let's talk about your linebackers. You got guys like Malachi
Hamilton,
all the guys
returning middle linebacker for us, senior, and then we've got Quintavion Morris, outside linebacker, senior. Both of those two had over 100 tackles last year for us as juniors, and so bringing that experience is huge. Ethan Lewis is the other outside linebacker, and then we've got Mario Brownlee that is also working in at multiple of the linebacker spots. So both of those two are juniors. Have been able to come in and really make some really good plays for us. And we also have Carson Brawley that comes in, another junior, very good size, very smart kid, and does his job really, really well. And so we're probably as deep at linebacker, as talented at linebacker as we've probably ever been at Arkadelphia, just with the number and the type of players that they are. our linebacking crew is very, very good.
Yeah, and that is definitely a blessing whenever you have a good defensive line that can plug holes,
That's right.
but also make plays, but linebackers that can just get downhill, read your guards, being able to do anything like that.
Yes, and they're as heavy as we've had at linebacker also. Malachi in the middle is 220.
Wow.
Quintavion Morris on the outside is 215, and then Mario Brownlee, when he's on the field, he's 210. And so we've got the size out there as well, not just the athletic ability.
Yeah, and it almost looks like some Division I rising size.
It's scary to look across there, and it's tough to get when we go good on good and offense versus defense in practice. It's tough. It's tough to get some stuff accomplished offensively.
Coach, special teams, especially in Arkadelphia versus Hot Springs this past Thursday. Arkadelphia coming away with the win. Talk about how important special teams was, especially at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
You had Cam Archer, Orion Roberts really making 2 huge touchdowns to set the standard.
We always want to start the game fast, and that's always the challenge to them going into the game. Start the game fast, and I think we did that. And starting the game 14-0, back-to-back special teams touchdowns. That's huge, and that's the difference in the game, the ball game overall. But special teams is very important to us. We've been able to execute on special teams the past 2 weeks, put up 3 scores, create good field position in the others, and we've also been able to kick some field goals, and that's also been the difference in the games as well.
That's right, Seth Molinari kicking your field goals, your point after touchdowns, anything like that. Talk about how important Seth Molinari is to the team, but also I want to talk about your punter. I mean, he's incredible. Being able to punt usually within the 10-yard line to the goal line is something that is very hard, especially as a high school athlete.
Yeah, he's just very, very talented leg. We've got a really good long snapper in Casey Pye. He's a senior. He's got some opportunities to play at the next level. And so we've got a really good long snapper to be able to get it back there in a hurry. And then Bryce Meekins, sophomore, he plays wide receiver. He's backup quarterback also, and then he's our punter. Very talented leg with the punt, so he's done a really, really good job. We don't like to use him as much, if that means offense isn't moving the ball if he's on the field punting. But, unfortunately he's had to, and he's done a really good job with his execution.
Coach, obviously we can see right here on the screen, the score at this time was the third quarter, about 3 minutes left, 34-21 Arkadelphia down at this time.
I think this was the change of the game right here. Yeah, this is the difference in the ball game. First down inside the goal line area, our defense did not break. Okay, we stepped it up and kept them out from scoring. That's not easy to do down there, especially to have to do it 4 downs in a row. That showed a lot of mental toughness for our defense, I think. That showed me a lot of who we are, and this is something to hang your hat on and be proud of. And, allowing a team to, or not allowing a team to get in right there. It's a lot of teams and teams that are less mentally tough, when they get down there in first down, they lax, right? They're like, oh, they're already this close, they're going to score. But we didn't do that. And ultimately, I thought that was the difference of the game. That was the turning point of the game of why we were able to take the lead back. That was where we started getting the momentum back from them, because they're up 13 points. Could have been really easy just to give up at that point. And so our offense gets the ball back out of the end zone. We start getting drives together, and we start coming back.
Playing 2 football teams back-to-back, and another one this Friday we'll talk about later. Higher classifications, they are bigger schools,
Bigger rosters.
Bigger depth maybe. Talk about how important that is to play bigger teams than yourself before going into the 4A classification and conference.
Yeah, I just think it battle tests you, and we have been battle tested the past 2 weeks. We've had to play 4 quarter games. It's come down to the last, couple minutes of the game to win the game, and I think that is very valuable for the growth of the team. I think that when you play upper classification teams, good upper classification teams like we have, Camden and Hot Springs, very good programs, very good teams. They'll expose you and show you what you need to work on and get better at very, very quickly.
That's what I was saying at halftime of this past game, just against Hot Springs. What were y'all saying to your team? Is that something that you're going to look back at this game, look at the film, sit down with your guys, and what are some things that you're really going to want to carry into this next week of we got to get better on this?
Yeah, offensively it comes down to execution. I know I mentioned it earlier, but that was basically all my halftime speech was we're not executing, we're not playing Badger football, and we got to win our matchups. And in the second half we did a lot better at that. Defensively, we just got to we got to understand our scheme and get lined up the right way. And a lot of the stuff that we were getting beat on in the passing game was lack of alignment. Okay, and then making the play when we're in the position to. When you go against as talented as wide receivers as Hot Springs, it comes down to making the plays. It's very important to get aligned right, and then making the play when you're there. And when you go against good players, you're going to make some plays. They're going to make some plays, but you can't break through that. And I thought we didn't break, and that was what I was very proud of.
I think something you and I have been saying the past 2 years is just how many weapons Arkadelphia really has on both sides of the football, special teams. But two I want to focus on right now is that running back spot. Talk about your two running backs and how important it is that you can really switch them in and out and how really awesome.
Caden Whitaker, he's a junior, has really stepped up at the running back spot. He's been running very, very well. He's averaging over 5 yards a carry right now, and just very, very pleased with his growth and progression through the summer and spring and getting to this point. He's playing with so much confidence. Blake Moody is running hard. He's a senior for us, and he's continuing to get better every week, and he's just such a strong runner. And having both of those guys back there, it's a workload for a defense to have to go tackle them for 4 quarters, and then we add Mario Brownlee into there, linebacker. He also plays running back. He was the one that ran the ball for the first down at the end of the game, and to seal it, just a smart player, physical runner, heavy, 210, just a strong runner with the football. And then we also have the opportunity, if we're in the situation, we can use Malachi Hamilton and Quintavon Morris also. So we've got 5 guys that we feel good about that are very talented running backs at that position.
Wow. I mean, that is special to have in high school football 4A classification to have that much depth. Arkadelphia is looking to really keep on going throughout this year.
With 5 guys touching the ball, we're probably running the wrong offense. When you've got that many running backs, there's a bunch of offenses out there that you can run with those guys.
That's true. But it seems like whatever Arkadelphia is doing, they are y'all are doing it right. So, but Coach, let's go ahead and talk about the players of the games from both weeks. Let's start with Camden-Fairview. First up on offense, we had running back Caden Whitaker. Talk about Caden.
Yeah, Caden was one. Him and Blake are in a rotation in the running back spot, but Caden really stepped up, made the plays in the second half that we needed. He ran the first touchdown in. Just put up the biggest number of offensive points and offensive production for us. Just a huge player in the game and was the difference.
All right, let's move on to the Defensive Player of the Week against Camden-Fairview. Defensive end Xavier Williams. We've heard a lot of him already, but let's talk some more.
Just so explosive. I can't remember how many sacks that he had. He had quite a few.
So many.
And tackles for a loss. I think he had like 10 tackles for a loss that game. And just so impressive. His ball get off is incredible. And, he's flying around and bringing energy the whole game.
And something that, what coaches look at is how productive a player is on the field, and Xavier is one of those guys.
He's absolutely, and teams know who he is, and he's tough to get stopped.
All right, special teams player of the week against Camden-Fairview, punter Bryce Meekin. Let's talk about him.
Yeah, we talked. Could have went a couple different ways, but we went with Bryce Meekin, creating the field position and through the punts. Was huge for our defense to be able to keep Camden from scoring the football, and ultimately that was the one of the bigger parts of winning the game. Yeah, those punts, we want the offense moving the balls where we don't have to, but just the way it was for that game, those punts were crucial and the field position mattered.
All right, Coach, let's talk about the Badger Spirit Award winner of the Camden-Fairview game. Let's talk about that.
Badger Spirit Award was Cooper Babb, guy that comes in and helps us out on Friday nights. He's a junior high football player for us.
Love it.
Always willing to help us out. He's one of the ones that stays after and makes sure that everything's helped. He helps us out after the game's over, making sure everything's picked up and put together, and just ultimately makes our life easier.
Yeah, and talk about how important that is, watching those young guys, especially in junior high, maybe even elementary school sometimes, helping out that high school team, really preparing them to be a great football player in high school.
And we do. We've got quite a bit of our younger junior high and 7th grade football players that help us out on game days. And I think it's huge because it, builds school spirit. Yeah. It builds the program's culture because they care about being a Badger and they're excited to be a Badger football player. They've been a part of the program and part of Friday night games, for the past 3 or 4 years. Now that they're on the field, it means more to them. I think that's very important for the longevity of the program.
For sure. Let's move on to the Hot Springs Players of the Week. The Offensive Player of the Week, Orion Roberts.
Yeah, Orion Roberts, senior wide receiver for us, had 10 catches for 180 yards and a touchdown. 180 yards receiving, very, very impressive night for Orion Roberts. He's one of those guys that we've got to continue to find ways to get the football. So explosive.
All right, not a surprise here, but the Defensive Player of the Week, let's talk about him again.
Yeah, Xavier Williams, he wins it again because of the energy that he brought just for 4 whole quarters. He's ball get off, running his technique, running the play, the defensive play, and then he is getting to the football every single play and just bringing the energy the whole game. And he really represents what we're trying to be on defense. Also had a big goal line stop there to swing the momentum back. He was the one that got the quarterback down right before he crossed the goal line. He didn't cross the goal line. So really big play right there, just athletic.
All right, Special Teams Player of the Week. If you are watching the games, it's also no surprise. Cam Archer.
Cam Archer, he had a big punt return for a touchdown against Hot Springs. Huge play, especially right after we had just scored another Special Teams touchdown. But he also had scored the week before against Camden in Special Teams. And so he's our Special Teams Player of the Week this week. Just so explosive with all of his returns. He's so fast. He's so shifty. It's hard to tackle him once he gets going down the field. You don't know where he's going to go, and he's just hard to get a beat on as a tackler. But he's our Special Teams Player of the Week this week.
All right, Badger Spirit Award winner for the Hot Springs game. Talk about Carter Carrozza.
Yeah, Carter Carrozza, another one of our junior high. He's a 7th grade football player for us. He films. He's filmed all summer for us, for our practices and our team camps. He films for our practices in the afternoons, helps us out on Friday nights in a big way, and he's one of those guys, a program guy. He's a lifelong Badger fan, and just so excited to be a part of it, and always wanting to help out. Does a great job and does anything we're asking him to do.
Yeah. It's good to see another Carrozza coming into the program, so that's awesome. Coach, let's go ahead and look at the screen right here. The 4A7 results from this past week. Obviously, we were at the Arkadelphia and Hot Springs game last week, 38-34. Man, that must feel really good.
Feels good to be 2-0. It's been the last time we were 2-0 to start the season was 2022, and so it's not easy, especially with the non-conference that we play. We play upper classification. It's tough to win those, or at least go undefeated in all 3 of them. So we're 2-0 right now and have an opportunity to keep it going.
That's right. Ashdown 12, they were at Mills this past week. Monticello 36 at Bauxite 38. Bauxite taking that win. Fountain Lake 28 at Smackover 63. Big win right there for Smackover. Glen Rose 35 at Malvern 21. Hope, they lose to Nashville 20-47. Let's go ahead and look at the 4A7 standings. This is getting into conference, so obviously take it as you will, but if you see the overalls over there on the far right, Arkadelphia sitting at 2-0, Genoa Central 1-0, and then you can go from there. You can see that the 4A7. We still have another week until conference, so kind of just boiling. You're kind of at that point with the water, but whenever it's conference time, you're going to be boiling.
That's right.
Let's look at the 4A7 schedule for this Thursday and Friday night. Some games playing on Thursday. Arkadelphia will be at Lake Hamilton this week. Hope at Ashdown. Bauxite will be at Magnolia. Fountain Lake will be at Center Point. Genoa Central at Fuke. Hope at Nashville. Stuttgart at Malvern. And Haskell Harmony Grove will be at Risen on Thursday.
Yeah, actually, Nashville is at Dardanelle.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Nashville's at Dardanelle. So, and I apologize if I said the Genoa Central game wrong, but I think it was right. So.
Oh, well, Falk.
It's
all good.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Genoa Central at Falk.
Yeah.
But, Coach, let's go ahead. Let's talk about this Friday. Looking ahead, the games are over now. We're done talking about them. You can only watch the film from here now. going into Lake Hamilton, I mean, they're a 6A school. They're a larger school. Big, physical, deep. The offense runs based offense that will use misdirection. Let's just talk about the game.
They're big and physical. They're probably, I say it every year, I think they're probably the best team at running the wing T offense, just with the type of players that they've got, the line that they have, and their ability to run their offense and their scheme. And so it's a big test for our defense. It really is. And we've got to do a good job again with our alignment and our physicality, and we've got to tackle well. Along with that, they are trying to get the ball back out in space a little bit more. They're trying to spread it out, and they're trying to pass a little bit more than what they've done in the past. And so they've got some really good receivers to get the ball to. We saw that last year. And we've got to do a really good job. Our back end has got to do a really good job of keeping our eyes right, along with reading our keys into the run and the run fit. But when we see pass, we've got to get our eyes right and find receivers.
Yes, sir. Well, it should be a great game on Friday. Yep. It'll be a 7 o'clock kickoff at Lake Hamilton. It is an away game for the Badgers this week. If you can't make it, if you can't make the trip, watch the game at ArkadelphiaBadgerTV.com and catch the Southern Bancorp pregame show starting at 6:30. And, Coach, you got anything else to say about Friday?
Hey, we're excited about the game. We're excited about having an opportunity to go 3-0. And, we're on a 14-win streak, I think, right now. We're just trying to keep it going and be the best team that we can be Friday night.
That's right. Well, the Badger fans always travel well, so be one of those this week. On Friday, we will see you at Lake Hamilton on Friday to cheer on the Badgers.
That's right.
Go Badgers.
Inside Badger Football is brought to you by the Arkadelphia Alliance and Chamber of Commerce, ATO Automotive, Batson Signs, Bell Wealth Services, Blakelytown, Chad Kesterson, Shelter Insurance, Chicken Express, Citizens Bank, Domino's, Eccles, Thompson and Kneebone CPA, Doctors Gary and Rob Rucker, Knight Insurance Professionals, L&J Auto Sales, Ludwig's Bakery, Park Hill Baptist Church, Patterson Federal Credit Union, Print Mania, Providence Veterinary Care, Roger Wingfield State Farm, Scott Bird DDS, The Sexton Firm, South Central Connect, Southern Bancorp, Southwest Auto Collection, Taylor King Law, Tea Time Sims, Trinity Temple Assembly of God, Turner, Rogers, Manning and Plyler CPA, Twin Rivers Health and Rehabilitation, and Welch Funeral Home. Inside Badger Football is a production of the Washita Sports Digital Network, the student sports media program housed in the Rogers Department of Communications at Washita Baptist University.